Alternate day fasting is something, you can see the study right here that was published in Nutrition, Dietary Recommendation of Fasting Days and Alternate Day Intermittent Fasting Pattern. Uh, well, the results are really pretty mediocre. Let me read them to you. So the primary outcome was weight change in 28 days. Overall, the participants lost an average of about 6 pounds in 28 days. You contrast that with the two new peer-reviewed human trials that were published, where the minimum anybody lost in 30 days was 16 pounds. Also, there's absolute evidence that this is really not a healthy way to go. In other words, you eat for 24 hours and you don't eat for 24 hours. So it's alternate day fasting. Now, here's what's so bad. The researchers are trying to tell us that this is okay, but there were some side effects. The most common adverse effects were dizziness, heart palpitations, and fatigue. Really, that just sounds like something that I'd want to do. I mean, and they're saying alternate day fasting is an effective short-term weight loss strategy. I mean, see, this is what we're up against. I mean, I don't even fault the researchers because they're doing what they know. Okay, so whether it's intermittent fasting, alternate day fasting, keto, paleo, Mediterranean, across the board, there's one common thread: lowering calories. Now, that sounds good. We've been told that for a long time. But what if that's total bunk? What if that's total bogus? What if the whole equation of calories in, calories out has been completely derailed? Because it has. Because in huge study, a meta-analysis done by the University of Minnesota by Tracy Mann and her weight loss department, they looked at study after study. I think it was something like 40 studies, thousands of people. And they looked at every kind of diet you could imagine, okay? And they simply compared that to people who just ate healthy. So they weren't restricting calories, but they kind of watched what they ate, et cetera, okay? Well, the results were completely startling. Number one, Tracy Mann said that there were 100% things that happened with traditional diets. Number one, the majority of the weight loss was lean muscle. But number two, 100% guarantee in the long run, everybody lost weight. When they compared it to people that didn't go on a diet, didn't restrict calories, the people that didn't restrict the calories were better off because they didn't lose lean muscle mass. And whether it's, with all due respect, doctors, I mean, I've written 4 best-selling books with medical doctors. I have great respect for the medical community, dietitians, nutritionists, these scientist gurus that are writing on the board with all the, fancy stuff and hormones and all that. But at the end of the day, here's the bottom line. 80% of America is overweight and 50% of those people are obese. And now we have 50% of America pre-diabetic. Wait a minute, what are we going to do? There won't be enough insulin. We got 50% of our kids overweight and 25% of the kids are obese. And the CDC has said that 9 out of 10 Americans are metabolically unhealthy with 3 of 5 factors: overweight, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high cholesterol, high triglycerides. Well, here's the good news. I don't mean to depress you. There has to be good news because this is such an enormous problem, and that's not a pun. We got over 2.5 billion people worldwide overweight now. This is spreading around the globe. The fundamentals of diets are lowering calories, but what they don't tell you is this: that when you lower the calorie, you lower lean muscle mass. And when you lower lean muscle mass, the problem is it slows down your metabolism. That's why you gain all the weight back. That's why on these, even though they lost, 6 pounds in 28 days, which we have people losing 6 pounds in 4 days, safely, because in these 2 new peer-reviewed human trials that were published in the Nutrition Journal and the Obesity Journal being probably the top journal in the world, people didn't just lose weight. They gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass, and in 8 weeks, they lost 33% of their visceral fat. That's the fat around the stomach, abdomen, well, throughout the body, but it's the underlying fat, the outer layer of fat called subcutaneous or adipose tissue. Not that you need to know that, but just to give you an idea. That's why you get to the point where you lose so much weight, and then you got that little pouch around you. No matter what you do, you can't get rid of it. That's because what the body's doing. Why is visceral fat so dangerous or important, on the other hand? Because it's where the body's storing the chemicals that we're breathing, drinking, and eating. Because in case you didn't know, we're living in an extremely toxic world. My gosh, just 3 weeks ago, there was a study saying that they're finding like 100,000 microplastics in water bottles, but they said, don't worry about it. But a big study of Australia gives me more concern. They said that the average adult is consuming about a credit card per week in plastic. That doesn't sound too good to me. So let's go back to these peer-reviewed human trial studies. What else did they see in these studies? They saw a reduction in blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides, and weight. Wait a minute. Weren't three of those factors? If you have three of those five factors, CDC says you're metabolically unhealthy, and all five went down in just 30 days. There were people monitored by doctors that were on blood sugar medication. In a little over 4 or 5 weeks, their body's need for insulin went down by 41%. They were being monitored. 41, that's never been seen before. Because typically, in order to drive blood sugar down, you have to increase insulin or a drug that does the same effect. So by reducing insulin, they reduce blood sugar and insulin. That's usually an inverse relationship. There's so many things about these studies. They're going to change everything we thought about diet, exercise, and wellness, And look, we're not curing or treating any diseases or making any medical claims. It's real simple. In these studies, what did they do? They used the best foods they recommended from the grocery store. You actually would get a list of that. And then there were 5 foods or elements, ingredients, I guess you could say, that the researchers had found a fulfillment company that for more than 25 years had believed that the food in North America was becoming more and more nutritionally bankrupt. So they literally went all over the world to find sources that were very high in nutrition, not very high in calories. They went to Russia and China and Mongolia. They went to Tibet and the Himalayas. They went to South America and New Zealand. And that was a huge part of this. It had nothing to do with calories or counting calories. It had to do with the nutrition, what was in the calorie, the nutritional density. And then there were 2 new approaches, protocols, whatever you want to call them. One was called intermittent nutritional fasting, not intermittent fasting. I just did a TikTok on that, talking about the fact that now they're really concerned about intermittent fasting because there's not a lot of data. And again, like any diet, it's a scheme to lower calories. When you lower calories, you lower your lean muscle mass, slow your metabolism down, because when they come off those intermittent fasting or keto or paleo or Atkins or Jenny Craig, they gain all their weight back. Because when you lower your lean muscle mass, your body has to slow down your metabolism. So you can't burn as many calories. It's really that simple, but it's not. As a matter of fact, in one of the studies that compared these 2 new studies, the one in the Nutrition Journal and Obesity Journal, they actually compared it to the Heart Healthy Diet, which is really the Mediterranean diet, which is recommended by all the cardiologists, and has been the #1 diet according to U.S. News and World Report for year after year after year. What was so crazy is that the caloric intake of the people in the Nutrition and the Obesity Journal study was actually higher than the amount of calories consumed in the Heart Healthy Mediterranean diet. And yet the results were astoundingly different. The lean muscle mass, the weight loss, it was crazy, the difference. So if you're curious about look, it's not even about losing weight and fitting in your skinny jeans. That's a throw-in. That's going to happen anyway. Listen, we have men and women losing as much weight in 4 days as in 8 weeks of any diet out there. Certainly in a week, as much as 2 or 3 months of diet. And we already told you, the studies in 30 days, they lost as much weight as in a year on dieting and did not lose lean muscle mass, gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. So if you're curious, click on the link below. It'll take you to the website. You can see the studies. You can see the results. You can see before and afters. It will stun you. You'll think we photoshopped them. We didn't. And then if it looks interesting, you can schedule a free consultation with us. Not a sales call. We'll go over your individual needs because we have people that want to gain weight. We work with athletes. I've worked with kids as young as 2 and people in their 90s. Everybody has different concerns. How would we know that? There's not just some form you can fill out and check the boxes. No, you're entitled to have an interaction to discuss what your goals are and answer all your questions. There's no obligation. It's free. And if you decide at the end of the consultation that it's not for you, no hard feelings, no problem. Our job at the New Health Conversation, which I founded, which is Registered Trademark U.S. Patent Office, is to provide you with knowledge that you won't see in the mainstream media. You won't see it anywhere. I've had the incredible privilege to work with some of the top medical doctors, oncologists, molecular biologists, geneticists, nutraceutical chemists, and nutraceutical researchers in the whole world. I am not the expert, but I became an expert on the experts. They call me the researcher of the researchers. That's a good title for me. Okay. I've done over 1,500 lectures all over the world. I did 20 shows on PBS, and I've been interviewed on the 4 biggest daytime shows in America. And I'm kind of the canary in the coal mine saying, well, shameless plug for me. My first book was called Why Diets Are Failing Us. It came out, my gosh, 14 years ago. It's more pertinent today than ever because the concept was the enemy's not calories. Instead of counting calories, why aren't we making every calorie count? And that's what they did in these medical studies. So I encourage you, inspire you to go click on it. It's free. See what you think, and then schedule a free consultation. I hope this has been helpful. Have a wonderful day.